Sports Politicing presents Agree to
Are
Disagree.
you serious right now?
Stop paying these quarterbacks that money because they can't win by themselves.
And now you don't want quarterbacks to get money. All right.
From a
And a
basketball
snap. And we can
standpoint,
thank Draymond
to
Green
me,
for
it
that.
doesn't make sense. I don't like it in any way, shape, form, or fashion.
It's not about giving the quarterback $100 million. First topic for the day that I just want to bring up, get y'all guys' thoughts on it, is players skipping the White House. It appears that this is an epidemic that is striking the sports world. It's almost like you don't want to win a championship these days because you got to make a decision not to go to the White House. So start with you, P. What's your thoughts on players skipping the White House?
Well, me personally, I think it's optional. Like you sign a contract to play this sport, and the goal is to win a championship. After you win the championship, you're only obligated to do what the team says you have to do. It doesn't say anywhere in your contract you have to go to the White House. If you don't want to go, you don't want to go. It happens all the time, but now it's just on a broader scope because of Trump is the new president-elect, and now people are making political stances about not going. Every year, there's a couple of players that don't go, and no one says anything. But this year, all of a sudden, it's a big issue for people not going because of the racial tensions being so high in the country, as well with the way that Trump won and his personality in general. For me, I just think it's kind of showing an example of how like the supposed like patriotism that we have, no pun on the Patriots right there, in the United States it's a facade. Like it's not a reality. Like people are like, oh, I'm proud to be an American, but that's not my president. Oh, if it was any other president, I would go to the White House. Like that's the big thing that you get out of it, is that people don't care. Like when I was a little kid growing up, if you were to say you can go see the president of the United States, I didn't care who the president was, but I wanted to go to the White House. That's not the case anymore. The White House it's a gimmick. I mean, look at who's in it right now. Like, it's a gimmick. 20 years ago, you would have never said Trump could be the president, but now he is, because that's where we are as a nation. Is we're more about personality than actual stability and believing in our country and our government and the way we do things. And what the players are doing right now is they're saying, you know what? Going to the White House doesn't mean what it used to mean. And it definitely doesn't mean that to me. You got people that going to the White House right now just means you get to meet Donald Trump, a famous guy with a lot of money. I mean, Tom Brady is already married to a very famous model with a lot of money. He don't need to go to the White House. What that's going to do for him? It ain't going to up his profile. It's not going to clinch any of his dreams. He just won his 5th Super Bowl. He's set. He doesn't have to go. The point that they're making a big deal about it through the media is just showing that it's not what it used to be, and people just don't care as much because honestly, it's not a sign of our country anymore. The White House used to be an emblem of that is the United States. Now it's just a place where Trump might or might not live during his tenure as president.
Lynce.
Okay, so of course, I'm going to agree with everything that's put out concerning players going to the White House. I feel people are paying more attention to it because of who is in office. Of course, the man that name I will not speak at this time, but our current president. See, divisive throughout his entire tenure thus far, and it's striking a chord amongst the world, not just the nation, not just the Black community, not just minority communities. It's been the world at this time, and people are starting to pay attention. As you know, Martellus Bennett was the first to come out and say, "Hey, he's not going," and he was real loud about it. He was real boisterous about it, and he put out a long article, and I believe it was in Bleacher Report, where he said why he's not going to go, why he's going to stand up, and why he's not going to be quiet about it. But quietly, there have been several other players who decided they're not going to sit go. Most notably has been Chris Long, who, if you don't know, is a white guy. So you can't say it's only black people refusing to go. So Chris Long came out and said he doesn't have to follow Chris Long throughout this season or even further. He had Colin Kaepernick's back when Kaepernick was taking a knee. That, hey, he said, hey, if he's saying that this is how he feels, I can get behind it. I can stand behind that. And Chris Long has been very resourceful and very outspoken at times about how he feels. So it's not just black people who are saying now, there's white people as well. And it's because of this president. Now, mentioned this year because of the president, but people, anything last year when Brock Osweiler decided he wasn't going. Now, behind this was, well, he's with a new team and they have OTAs going on, but come on now. You think the other team, you think the Texans would have had a problem with him going to visit the White House after he just won a Super Bowl? He could have very easily went to the White House if he wanted. He decided not to go. There was no uproar about it. You can go to the year before with the Patriots and Tom Brady, who had a family outing that he had planned already. So he had an obligation that he couldn't go. Every other time he'd won a Super Bowl, he'd gone. I'm pretty sure this time with the current president, he's going to go as well. So the only time White House will be with Barack Obama was in office. Find that suspicious? I'd be one of those people. But I mean, if he doesn't have to go, it's your personal choice, as Pervis said before. You got James Harrison. Both times the Steelers won, James Harrison didn't go. Said it's a choice. He can make that decision to go if he wants to or not. The president wants to come see him. Actually, his exact quote was after they beat Arizona that if the Steelers did not go on that last-minute drive to win the game, the president would have invited Arizona. So to him, it's a spectacle, and he doesn't want to be a part of. Again, if that's how he feels, that's how he feels. So I can't fault him for that. Matt Burke did it in 2013 because he didn't like what Barack Obama said concerning Planned Parenthood, and he stated that he's Catholic, so he couldn't see himself endorsing that. So he didn't go in 2013. Michael Jordan, 1991. Tony La Russa, Albert Pujols, both didn't go in 2010. You had Manny Ramirez did not go in 2008. Tony Stewart, Carl Edwards, Kevin Harvick are drivers. They didn't go. So, and it goes back to Larry Bird as well, who stated that if the president wants to see me, he knows where to find me. And that's when Reagan was in office. So there's been people, this has always happened year in and year out, where there's been guys who decided, hey, I'm not going to go to the White House. And typically it's not that big of an issue. But for some reason, it's an issue now because people are being so outspoken about why they aren't going. Or the issue.
Y'all definitely said y'all points very eloquently, and we have a little bit of time on this topic, so y'all chime in whenever. I didn't have a problem when Brady didn't go. I don't have a problem with anybody not going now. I think this is a way for people to show their political chops and take a stand on how they feel. I have no problem with that. I'll also say, though, that now in this time in 2017, like this stuff now comes to the forefront. Like this stuff is a very, very big deal to some people. Because before, a lot of athletes tried to keep politics out of sports, especially those who were pitchmen, because they didn't want to alienate anyone. Michael Jordan was famous for saying Republicans buy shoes as well. So, he definitely tried to stay out of that arena. But now in 2017, people's political affiliations are going to come out, and this is just a way for them, and this is a way that they're coming out, taking a stand on the White House. I respect Martellus Bennett and what he said and what he did. I respect Brady for what he said and what he did. But what I'm seeing is that I feel like there's a line that's beginning to be drawn in the sand. And I always wonder how that kind of thing affects locker rooms, because our current president, I'll actually say his name. I respect the office. I don't respect the man. but I respect the office. And President Trump, he has clearly been a decisive figure. His platform, he's xenophobic, he's racist, he's a misogynist, he's all of these kind of things. And you see that athletes now feel more empowered to take a step up, and they don't like that. And I respect that. Hopefully going forward, that's all it'll be. And, you know, we'll just leave it at that. Sticking to football though, and I'm gonna give this one to you in a few minutes, Lynce, in a few seconds, Lynce, excuse me. Terrell Owens. I think we all like T.O. despite the antics. I was always a big fan of his. He missed the Hall of Fame again. You know, I'll save my thoughts for later, but I definitely want to get y'all input, starting with you, Lynce, on how you feel about T.O.
All right. Okay, so we're gonna start with me on this one. Of course, we're gonna talk about T.O. as getting snubbed out of the Hall of Fame. Now, watch this show or on any other social media platforms knows that I believe that Terrell Owens is the second best receiver of all time.
Behind who?
Rice, of course.
Okay.
Jerry Rice, of course.
All right.
Of course. I have him slightly above Randy Moss, slightly, only because T.O. did everything. He blocked. He ran every route on the route tree. He went across the middle. He did whatever on the field, which is where the Hall of Fame matters. On the field, he did everything that he was supposed to do. The reason why I believe that he hasn't got in thus far and wasn't a first ballot Hall of Famer, revenge from the media. It irks me a lot because they shouldn't be holding his off the field antics, his locker room talk, his backs and their sexual orientation. Shout out Jeff Garcia. You know, that shouldn't factor into him getting into the Hall of Fame. That doesn't. If we wanted to draw that thin line in the Hall of Fame, I can name you a bunch of races who are in the Hall of Fame right now that you need to take out. So if you really want to pedal that line, we can go there. Then you need to start taking people out. He was never arrested. He never did anything illegal. Beat his wife. He didn't beat his girlfriend. He didn't beat a child. He didn't do anything illegal. All he did was talk and bring everything upon himself. But when he was on the field, you got the best out of him. The dude played in the Super Bowl and balled out on a broken leg. So that, to me, that's an issue to me. If he doesn't get in, which I know he'll eventually get in, he would be the only receiver from an all-decade team going back all the way to the 70s that is not in the Hall of Fame. You know, you got Randy Moss isn't eligible till next year, but in the 2000s Hall of Fame, on the 2000s all-decade team, it was Terrell Owens, Torrey Holt, and Randy Moss. And T.O. are the only ones not in the Hall of Fame right now. But Brown Hall of Famers going in next year with Moss, with Ray Lewis, with Brian Urlacher. So I can foresee another year where T.O. does not get in the Hall of Fame, which to me is absolutely ridiculous because he deserves to be in. Other than Torrey Holt and T.O. right now, you had to go all the way back to the 70s, as I said, to Harold Carmichael as a receiver, decades team that is not in the Hall of Fame. To me, that's ridiculous. It's an open and shut case that he should be in the Hall of Fame. Reason why he should not be in the Hall of Fame, other than you didn't like the guy, which is not a viable reason, which leads to another issue for me, that the media should not be the ones, the sole proprietors of who gets in the Hall of Fame and who doesn't. On there, because as we've seen time and time again across all of the Hall of Fames, with and Mark McGwire and Roger Clemens, to now T.O. and Chris Carter before him, grudges, and they'll keep guys out of the Hall of Fame, not off of their accolades, not off what they've achieved on the field, but because of personal vendettas off the field. And that's a shame, because all the Hall of Fame is about is what you did on the field. And on the field, you cannot deny T.O. was one of the greatest receivers ever.
You got it, P.
All right, I agree with you, Lynch. Like, I still don't understand why this man is in the Hall of Fame. Now, personally, I wasn't a big like T.O. fan, but you got to respect the game. To get into the Hall of Fame, it should be voted by what you did on the field and your overall contribution to the game. T.O. got the numbers. Yards, 15,934. Number 2 all time. Receptions, 1,078. Number 8 all time. Touchdown receptions, 153. Number 3 all time. That's 3 of the largest statistical categories, and he's top 10, actually top 3 in 2 of them and top 10 in the other one. How is that not a Hall of Fame player? He's put in the time, he's put in the work, and like Lynn said, he's an overall great receiver, or was a great receiver during his playing days, and he probably could still play today. Dude stays in shape.
I think he can still go out there.
Yeah. He probably could still go out there and do what he wants to do. But, of course, like you said, the reason that he ended his career the way he did was because people didn't want to take a chance on him. And I can understand you not liking him because of that, but not voting him in the Hall of Fame is, to me, is just it's a disrespectful move by these writers. And like you said, they're writers. They're not players. They're not coaches. Players and coaches that he's played with have all given testimony that, yeah, he was a little eccentric, but he was a great player. So why is he not in the Hall of Fame? They're holding something against him that even his own peers are not holding this against him. If anything, it's going to make it that much harder for Randy Moss to get into the Hall of Fame. Randy Moss was much worse than T.O. with his on-the-field antics. But that's a whole nother discussion for another time. Going back to the writers, the Pro Football Hall of Fame writers in 2010 named Terrell Owens second team of their all-decade of the new millennium 2010 version from 2000s to 2010. So they said he was the third best receiver in that decade behind Randy Moss and Marvin Harrison. But he's not a Hall of Famer. That doesn't make sense. If I had a calculator, that wouldn't add up to me. How do you say this guy is the best within a decade span, 10 years, which is pretty much the lifespan of a receiver in the NFL, yet he's not good enough for the Hall of Fame because of his character outside of those stats that you gave him credit for being great at? That's ridiculous. And moving on from just his play on the field, contribution to the sport, to the game. You can't tell me people didn't turn on their TV to watch T.O. celebrate. Before there was an Ocho Cinco, there was a T.O. Get your popcorn ready. Run it out to the star.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Starting things up on the sideline, talking to people in interviews, let them know how he feels. Going to the Cowboys, crying on national TV, calling Tony Romo his quarterback. He brought that to the sport. NFL, National Football League, is an entertainment business. He brought that business as well as the sport. He balled on the field, the numbers are there, and then he brought his charisma, his attitude. He had his ups, he had his downs. But all you saw in that kid was, well, he's not a kid anymore, but he had passion.
So let me say this. I agree T.O. should be in the Hall of Fame. He should have already been in the Hall of Fame. It's a joke that he's not. I will disagree that I don't think the media should vote. I think there are a lot of smart members in the media who write at a lot of the Pro Football Focus guys, Football Outsiders guys, Bill Barnwell, ESPN.com. There's a lot of very smart media guys who would have already put him in. This is just the mainstream media the old school media who's carrying a grudge, and they're exerting their power over him by not letting him in. P, you mentioned it. You had the whole T.O. thing, and two of my favorite T.O., when he was playing the Ravens, I cannot think of the year, he was with the Eagles. They scored, I think he put him up 2010. And he did the Ray Lewis squirrel dance. I about jumped through the roof of my house at that time. I was so hyped because the Ravens, if I recall, was talking so much trash leading up to that game, how they was going to kill him. And he gets in the end zone and he do the squirrel dance. And I'm like, yo. At that point, my respect level for T.O., I already loved him. But I was like, yo, I feel that. And my second one was, T.O. was on the Cowboys. I think they were playing the Rams. And Patrick Creighton caught a pass and was going down the field. And you can YouTube it if you want.
Yeah.
T.O., he was streaking all the way down the field just to throw a block. And he literally came out of nowhere. These are the things that sports writers want. And these are the things that sports writers ask for out of their players. Then when you have a guy who's a number one top receiver in the league sprinting down the field to block for his teammate, and you lead this guy out of the Hall of Fame, so we're that's a whole bunch of hypocrisy again. Like T.O. gave everything on the field, everything on the field. Like and what bothers me about that is, like, you have a whole bunch of like real dirtbags that's in the Hall of Fame right now. All I'm gonna say is this:
we know there's some bums out there.
It's some real bums out there.
There's several of them,
and it really shouldn't be. It's not a character thing. We got to move past that. T.O. is one of the best wide receivers of all time. He needs to be in the Hall of Fame. Check his tape. Stop being stupid. Now, we're gonna segue really quick to basketball, and this is something that's really passionate to me. Melo and Kevin Love. Let me say this first. I am the president of the Kevin Love fan club. I absolutely love Kevin Love. Let me say that first. Now, unless you've been living under a rock, you know, LeBron mentioned that he wanted playmakers and all of this kind of thing. I'm not even going to get into that. Now, there was a trade bandied about for Melo and Kevin Love. And a lot of people who really don't do their homework, even some people on ESPN don't do their homework, think that that was a good trade. And I feel like I was in the minority. Because I don't think that's a good trade. Love is 4 years younger. Love is actually a better player now. And this doesn't even factor that Melo is going to depreciate going forward. Love's a better player now. Now, their roles are a bit different. Melo is a high usage shot creator, but Love is more efficient in his role than Melo is in his. He's a superior rebounder, and he's just as good of a shooter. Now, Melo is a really good spot-up shooter, but I think at this point, we have to realize Melo is in year 14 of a Hall of Fame career. I don't see him changing, and I'm not going to use the Phil Jackson term, stripes on the leopard, or whatever that nonsense that Phil Jackson has been saying lately. But I don't think it's realistic to expect Melo to just all of a sudden become a spot-up player at this point. So even though Melo is a better spot-up player on wide-open shots, he shoots 42% on those. Those are great. Love is a little bit less than that. But Melo's not going to subjugate his game just for that. I also think Love gets an unfair rap as a bad defender. Melo's bad. That part is accurate. Love has had a positive real plus minus per ESPN for the past 3 years. He's usually in the 1-2 range, which essentially means that the defense is 2 points per 100 possessions better when he's on the court. Love does have weaknesses that you can easily see. Elite teams exploit him on the pick and roll. He can't protect the rim, but he plays very good team defense. He's good in that regard, and he cleans the defensive glass. He's fine in that regard. I just don't like the fact that people think Melo at this stage of his career is the answer, and he's not. I honestly think that this nonsense came from the New York media. They're doing Melo dirty, and they're trying to get him out of New York. And they're playing on the fact that LeBron said he wanted playmakers. So what best way to put this story together than by saying, trade Melo for Love so he can play with his friend. Listen, I like Melo, and I respect Melo tremendously for the way that he handled Phil Jackson, because Phil Jackson is treating him like shit. Excuse my language. That's inexcusable to treat a player like that. So I respect Melo as a player. He's a Hall of Famer. But at this point, he is not. He is not better than Love as a player. Again, Love is, even though he's 28, you know what I mean, his decline phase is going to be better than what Melo is now. So I don't really see any sense in doing that trade. Not one bit.
What about you, Lynce?
Well, I'm not going to say my analytics perspective. I'm going to speak on it from a common sense perspective. So, and the way it's been handled to me. Now, the way that engaged Carmelo, the way he's utilized the media like he did when he was with LA, and using the media to call out Shaq and using the media to call out Kobe. That if you're not the coach, calling out players like that, that's not going to do anything. You're in management now. You're supposed to be finding talent to help build the team up to make them better, and let the coach do what you want them to do. What he's doing right now, everything he has done regarding Carmelo has been wrong. Like, other than drafting Porzingis, I can't think of too many things he's done correctly. He's done right. He's trying to force this team, a triangle team, when they don't have triangle players. And then to talk about a Melo for Love trade, that's for either side, it doesn't make sense. First of all, a younger Kevin Love and Porzingis right now. You got a guy who can stretch out. You got a guy who can shoot. You got a guy who might rebound. Kevin Love, AJT says he's gotten better defensively. He has gotten better, but he's still not. He's not an enthusiastic defender. Don't tell that to Steph Curry in the finals of Game 7, but he's not an enthusiastic defender. He can get beat easily, but the way Phil has handled this, he's been a cancer to that team since he's come to New York. He's done everything wrong. Melo has been the consummate professional, which people won't give him credit for. And I see more people still mad at Melo for not waiving his no trade clause than they are at Phil Jackson. Like, who's causing issues here? You used to throw that out in the media. It's Carmelo's fault. He's doing this. He's not doing that. He's not playing defense. He's not passing the ball. He has a 28.8 usage rate. It doesn't matter, man. They don't have too much. They don't have too much on that team to make things go. They need him to do that. And Phil needs Carmelo in New York because he has a punching bag. So, to the terrible job that Phil Jackson's doing, they're paying attention to Carmelo's not doing this, and Phil Jackson's the GOAT head coach, so we should listen to what he's saying. Yeah, it's Carmelo's fault. It's Carmelo's fault that he keeps drafting. It's Carmelo's fault that he's bringing in free agents with torn up knees who don't fit your system. Yeah, that's Carmelo. Let's blame Carmelo for all that. Carmelo's not doing that. Firing coaches with the seasons. Like, that's not Carmelo. You can't blame Carmelo for everything. There's a lot of things that you can hold Carmelo Anthony accountable for. You can hold him accountable for his defense. You can hold him accountable for not being a willing rebounder. You can hold him accountable for not taking great shots all the time. But you can't hold him accountable for the GM decisions with players. Like, you can't do that. It's not Carmelo's fault. And trading Carmelo would be dumb simply for the salary cap for whatever team he's going to. No team is one Carmelo Anthony away from going to the championship. So why would you trade for him? Why would you take on that money? That doesn't make sense. And then to trade him to Cleveland, which doesn't need a Carmelo Anthony. Why would you need Carmelo Anthony? I understand you want playmakers. Carmelo is a great player, but he's not a playmaker. He's not going to make anyone around him better. No. It doesn't make sense. You're going to have three of the same type of players. You're going to have Kyrie, LeBron, and Carmelo, who are all in their hands to make the play happen. Why would players on the team? Doesn't make sense. And who's going to come off the bench? Carmelo's ego ain't going to let him come off the bench. Kyrie's ego not going to let him off the bench. And if you have LeBron going off the bench, you might as well. He ain't coming off the damn bench. It's a dumb. Whoever brought that up is an idiot. Whoever keeps perpetuating that there might be a trade between these two, it's dumb all around. I can't go on. It's just dumb. Like basketball, I know it's dumb.
Lynn for the win.
Yeah, I was about to say. And one.
Right? I'm gonna touch on it just a little bit, not too much about the actual the actual trading of Melo. But I like what AJT said about Melo at this point in his career. He's not gonna change the way he plays to fit to anybody's scheme. I like to kind of compare him kind of to like a young James Harden when he was at OKC. There was no room for him on that squad. He had to leave to do what he was going to do because he wasn't going to adjust to being the third option on a team with two other guys who are scoring so much. Just like what Lynce just said, you can't put Melo on a team with two guys who need the ball in their hand to score. Melo's 32 years old. He's not going to change the way he plays. LeBron has actually attempted to change the way he played multiple times to fit different teams, but that's in his skill set. There's a very wide range of skill set he can do that. That's not Melo's skill set. Melo scores. That's what Melo does. He probably does like what I just said, and he talks about himself in the third person when he tells people that. But Melo,
he gets buckets.
He probably does. I don't know, but I mean, he's a great player. But like you said, him trading to Cleveland makes no sense. And I forget which one of y'all said it, but I heard it and it made sense as well. Him getting traded anywhere doesn't make sense. Nobody is one Melo away from winning a championship. People want to know everything about everybody and what they're thinking. And when you find out what Phil Jackson is thinking, you find out you kind of start to lose respect for the man with so many wins, both as a player and a coach. Because as a GM, he's only failed at everything since he's been there. Besides, I'm getting the guy with the P word name. I can't say his name.
Porzingis, man. Stop disrespecting Porzingis.
The unicorn.
Unicorn, man. Get it right.
Don't say stuff you can't say. If you don't know what it means, which I don't say it. I don't know what his name means.
Kristaps Porzingis.
Look, I ain't mad at him. I call him Big P. But that's all the time we got today. So that is the end of season 2, episode 1. Sports Politicen presents Agree to Disagree. Perfect Pervis. You can find me on any social media at Perfect Pervis. We'll catch you next time.
Leonard Lynce, catch me on anything, all social medias.
So I'm the oddball because all of my social medias aren't the same, but whatever. Everybody loves John at Twitter and Instagram. We appreciate you watching. Click the link. We appreciate it. Have a good night.
Sports Politicen presents Agree to
Are
Disagree.
you serious right now?
Stop paying these quarterbacks that money because they can't win by themselves.
And now you don't want quarterbacks to get money. All right.
From a
And a
basketball
snap, and we can
standpoint,
thank Draymond
to
Green
me,
for
it
that.
doesn't make sense. I don't like it in any way, shape, form, or fashion.
It's not about giving a quarterback $100 million. It's about giving the right quarterback $100 million.
But how many right quarterbacks are there?